The story of a people called the Diggers and they live underground. By John R. Ruland III. Copyright December 9, 2019. Other books. The Changers Church Valley Reservation. The Ship Inside the Mountain Called Life Force. The Wish Newspaper. The Lost Hotel. The story of a people called the Diggers and they live underground. This story starts with we have an old mine that goes for miles and even goes down and up and all over this one mountain that we own. One day we can hear like an echo of someone digging and rocks falling. So we go to investigate. We get where the noise is coming from and it just stops. We cannot find anything where the noise was coming from. So we go back outside the mine and go around to the other side of mountain to see if there are any holes on the mountain. Sure enough, there is a big hole on the back side. I radio to the one of the guys and say, can you bring the front loader to the back side of the mountain? We had roads all the way around the mountain. It was not long when he showed up. When he looked at it he said this was one of the first holes we cut to see what was there and did not go too far because the rock was so hard it took way too long to cut a tunnel. But now with the machinery we have now we can start cutting it again. I said I think there is someone already in there making their own tunnels. Just wondering what they have found then even why they are here in the first place. I got on the tractor and we headed down the tunnel and then we start to see lights and all kinds of it seemed like little people and some not so small. I stopped by all the people standing around and shut off the tractor so we can hear. One of the guys come over and said who you guys are? I said we come back here to start working on our mine again and we found all of you here. The guy said that I guess we did not walk around to the other side of this mountain because that is where we are from. The valley on the other side of this mountain is where we come from. We have a hard time to get there in the winter so we all said we have to tunnel to get to the valley so we can use the road year-round to get there. Then one of the guys come up and said we have hit a big yellow rock and all our tools we can only chip it and it seems with this big thing they can move it for us and even take it with them. I said okay, show me where it is. We start the tractor and head that way. We get there and there looks like a big wall and it was bright yellow and looks like a big rock. I said we can try and we went over and dug it out and said okay we will be back later okay. So we left with this big rock and when we got outside we could see it was all yellow and good size. We headed back to the other side of the mountain and when we got there everyone said where did you get this? On the other side in a big hole. It seems like we should have keep digging we would have found this ourselves. We cleaned it off and we tested it and it was fool's gold. It weighed at least 300 pounds this is why they could not cut it for it was way too hard. Gold is soft and they would have been able to cut it easily. This time when I went back over there I brought the front end loader I also got one of the dump trucks too. So if I did find anything all I had to do was come of the mine and dump in the truck. We got back over there and there was some outside this time and looking for us. When we got there the guy said that they had found more rocks this size and would we can in and move them out. I said sure. I headed back in and dug out 10 more of them. When the truck was filled he went and dumped them in the same place as the first one. Maybe they would be worth something. It took a while but we got it done and it was getting dark out. I went back into the mine and it took me a while but I found the one I charge. I said can you come with me and I would like to know where your village is and if we can help you dig the tunnel to your valley. He said wow that would be a lot of help with all the big things you have. He got on and when we got out of the tunnels he said turn right. Our place is to the left. We went down this road that is if you want to call it a road. There were places that I had to widen the road just so I could get through. He said that we just could not dig that out but it seemed easy with this. We just keep going down and soon we leveled out and come to this little town and he said we call it Mole Town. For how we make our living is digging and moving dirt. We have hauled a lot of the dirt down here to raise up the land so we can build on. The river sometimes will overflow and take out our homes and even bridges. We found if we build higher up the water has done some damage, but now all the homes are safe from the floods. So when we dig it helps two ways. I said that will work as I drove around town and see all the buildings and other things. Soon we come to it seems like the center of town, and he said park over there. I pulled up and he said come with me. We went into a building and we walked up to a front desk and he said he wanted to see someone and he said his name but I could not say it. It was not long when this good-sized man come out and said both of you come with me. We followed him to this big room and on one of the walls there was this big map. It showed the town and even the tunnel that was being made. He said we want to put in 4 or 5 tunnels down to where we are now so in the winter we can get to the other side of the mountain. Okay, now I have 2 questions. 1, do you have an iron foundry? He said what is that? I said do you have a cement plant to build your foundations to your homes? He said what was that? Have you got plenty of wood and someone that can build covered bridges? He said we have that and we have plenty of big wood too. So all you have to do is widen the road and cover the road with covered bridges all the way to the other side. It is cheaper than digging tunnels, and if you want you still can haul dirt to the town to fill in what you want, just have moved the dirt from the mountain instead of inside of the mountain. They just looked at each other and then said what would it take to build a covered bridge? I said it would take a while but once it is done you can drive the road in rain, snow and even no ice on the roads. Then I looked at him and then said the mountain they are digging in right now we own. I do not mind that they are digging and using the dirt to build your homes on. Just that if you find other things otherwise than dirt you let us know and we will come and get it, okay? He said that will work and said okay you can go back to work now. We both left and went back to the mountain. When we got back it was just starting to get dark. I dropped him off and went home to get something to eat and talk to everyone about what was going on. I said that is way too bad that what we got was fool's gold and not real. One of the guys said we have to chip some off and send it in to really get what it really is. To him it seems like not fool's gold and or even real gold, it is something else. Like some meteors that dropped out of the sky many years ago. I said I guess it will not hurt to send it in. So the next day we chip some off and take it there myself and want for the test to be done. The guy come out and said it is nothing that he had ever seen before. Then he said you will have to take it to this place and he gave me the address and phone number. It was almost 300 miles from here. He passed me the sample back and I headed that way. I stopped on the way and got some sleep and then it was about noon when I got there. I went in and asked for the guy he said that I wanted to see and he had already called him and told him that you was on your way. Once he found out I was there he come right down and said follow me. We went into a big lab and he said let me have the sample and I passed it to him. He took it over to a big machine and put some in and then turned it on and soon it stopped and he went over and printed out something. He come over and said we have not seen the elements that are in this rock not all in one form before. So is it worth anything at all? He said it was worth with the gold content it will be worth about. He stopped and then said did you know that most of the content was pure gold? I said no, I did not know what it was. It looked like gold but did not act like gold. Then he said how much of this do you have? I just looked at him and then said about 30,000 pounds of this stuff. He said how much? We found great big 300 pounds rocks of this stuff and there is around 14 of them. Some was small and others were quite big. He said that no matter how much there was he would give us 80% of gold price. I said okay, so when will you come and get it and weight it? He said we will be there next week to pick it up and then we can settle on a price. I said that will work. He said on your way out give the woman out front your address and all that stuff. I said okay and went out and give her my card and said if she needs anything just call. I headed back to the mine and got there later that day. I went to where all the rocks were and they were still there and wow, it seems like they are going to weight a lot. It was not long when the guy showed up and said, "Okay, where are the rocks that I can get and weight them and pay you?" I said, "Well, you will need more than that pickup to haul all the rocks I have." He just looked at me like I was crazy. He said, "Okay, where are they?" I guess he really did not know what he was standing by. I said, "Turn around." He turned around and said, "No way, no way, no way you have that much." I said, "Well, we have like 14 about the size, bigger or smaller." The one we weighted was about 300 pounds. After that we did not weight anymore. He just went over and looked at them with great big eyes and said, "I guess I will have to get some big dump trucks with weight built in." I said that would be okay and we can load them or you can load them. Then I said, "Okay, we will put the smallest one on your truck and then you can see what they are worth per pound and get back to us on what you want to pay per pound. Then we can go from there." He said okay, and we got the loader and put one in his truck and I made him sign for it, and with the weight of 236 pounds and a picture with him beside it with me in it too. He called me back about a week later and said, "When you can, I want you to come to the office." I said, "Okay, I can be there later on today." He said that will be good and hung up. I got ready and the wife was in the truck way before I even got there. When we got there we went in and the woman at the front desk see us and got up and said, "Follow me." We went to his office and she opened the door and said, "Have a seat." It was not long when he came in with some different samples of the rocks we had. He said the rock is like 99% gold and some other ore and we can separate it, but it takes a lot just to heat it up to separate the gold from the other components. "Okay, so how much will you pay for all the rocks we have then?" He said, "We can buy one rock at a time and pay you when we take one. The one we already have we will pay you 1,000 per ounce, so the total for this rocket? 3,776,000, and here is the check. Here is the contract and read it before you sign it, okay? I want you to know what you are signing." I said okay, and he said, "Here is the paperwork and the check and follow me," and he took us in a good size room and we both sat and read the contract. It was not really that long, but it had things like the price change of gold would change the price they pay for the gold from us. So if the price of gold goes up, so will what we get paid for it too. I even read the fine print that was at the bottom of the last page and will not sign it unless that fine print was taken off. He said that was the standard form we use and it protects us more than you think. But in turn it protects you too. So it is a win-win for both of us. So we signed it and passed it to him and said, "Before you leave you will have a copy of the agreement." After we got the agreement we headed to the bank that we deal with. When I got up to the teller I asked her if I can see the one that is a head of the bank. She said, "Why would we want to see the bank president?" I said, "Because of this." I showed her the check and she, "Why didn't you say so?" She rang him and he come out and said, "Follow me." We went into a big office and said, "How can I help you? What the max per account that is FDIC protected?" He said 200,000 per account. So how many accounts do we need so all the money is protected? I passed him the check and said, "Wow, way too many." We talked for a while and set up the accounts up that were needed and put what we could in our business account to pay the help and other bills. All the accounts were under the business. After we looked at each other and had all those bank accounts and that much money, she said, "I think I want to get a new car for their business." I said, "I guess it is time." The car that we were driving was pretty old. So as went by a car dealer we stopped by and said, "What do you have?" And then we looked at cars and we looked at cars until we found one that we wanted. Then went in to buy the one we had found. He said it might take a while to get financing and then said, "Fill this form out." I said, "We do not need a bank loan, we will pay by debit bank card." He just looked at us in disbelief, for I guess he never got anyone that will pay cash for any car before. I said, "I want the best cash price for this car." I had already looked up the price of that car way before we even come into the office. He got up and left, and when he came back he said, "This is what we can do." He passed me a paper with all the things they put on the invoice. The price he had on there been not too far off from the other prices that I had looked up. I said I will give you this and that is it. Go see if they will take that price including everything. We will pay that price right now. He got up and it was not long he come back with the price that I had put on there and we paid for it and said we will come back for our old car tomorrow. He said, did you want to trade this in? I said no, I want to give it to one of the kids to drive around in. Maybe later we might be back for something else because you did so much of a good job. He said park your car over there and it was not long when they brought our brand new car out and we got in and drove off right to a gas station. Then filled it up and went home. When we got there they see a different car and I said how you do like our new car we got for the business. What do you think of going to town in this now to go shopping or get parts? They all looked at it and said about all at the same time, wow, air conditioning. I said yup, that works just fine. The next day I sent 2 guys to get our car and when they come back the guy was trying to buy our old car because he said it was worth a lot in the shape that the car was in. He passed me his card and said call him. I called him and he said that he would give me this price for the car and get back to him if you want to sell it. I went on and looked up what the price of the car would be with all the toys we have on it and I was amazed on what come up. It was almost double the price that he would have paid for the car. Come to find out they only made about 10,000 of those cars and only 100 that was like mine. That is why everyone was after the car we had because it was pretty much one of kind. I called him back and he said okay, what are you asking for it? I gave him a price twice what he would pay for it and he said when can you have it here? I said this afternoon. Then we hung up and I got one of the workers to drive the new car and I drove the old one just to drive it for the last time. The wife was busy doing something so we headed out. We got there and the guy come right out and passed me a bill of sale and had the check. I read it and signed it, passed him the paperwork he needed and I had signed it and ready to go. We just passed papers and passed him the key and thank you and he jumped right in and drove off. Yup, we go back to the bank and deposit the check in the main business account and once the teller saw how much was in there before we even deposited the check she just looked stunned. We left there and went back and it was time to go back to work. Got one of the old trucks and went to the Potter's Village and when I got there the guy was like he had seen a ghost. He said come with me. So I followed him and he took me into this big room with a big statue on the far wall of big pot that looked like a big round short cooking pot. Something was coming out of the pot and jumped down and ran away. The guy raised his hands and went screaming out of the place. I just walked over and see a kid in the corner and I said why are you here and why was you in the pot? He said that his mom and dad had died and he had no place to go so he come here to sleep. I said okay, I want you to come with me. He followed me and we went to the town hall and I went in and said I would like to see the mayor. She said why? I told her who I was and she got up and got him. He come out and see me and said wow, what brings you here and who is the kid? I said what had happened and he said he can take care of the kid and then I said we need to talk when you can. He said to me go down that hall and the last door on the right. I said okay and walked that way when I heard him say take this kid to the home to get taken care of. When he came and he said they all think we do not want them when their parents die and they run off. I have not seen this kid so I sent him to one of the good homes to get taken care of. Okay, now what brings you here? I said when do you want to start building the road tunnel? He looked at me and said what road tunnel? The guy I talked to when I see you the first time he said he was building a road tunnel to this town so in the winter you can go to the other town on the other side of the mountain. He just looks at me for a minute and then makes a call. He said I will be right back. He was gone for almost 20 minutes this time. He come back in and said okay, I want you to follow me. We got up and went outside and walked down the block. He said how much time do you have? I said I do not have to be anywhere today. I said I just want to make a call and then I can go wherever. He said okay. I walked away and make the call to the wife and said I might be a while for there is something going on here in Valley. She said okay and hung up. I walked over and he said follow me. He took me to a big opening in the side a hill. We went down a corridor and then we come to a big door. He went over and hit a button and the doors opened. We went in and there was a big room with about 4 trains sitting there. I said where do these go? He said each one goes to a different town. We are working on a new tunnel to go to this town and he is the one providing us with the gravel to build our bed for the new tracks. That is why if there's anything too big they cannot move you get the job now. For we do not have much big equipment to move big things like you do. I just hope that what we found of yours within the mountain would be more than enough for all the gravel we can use. If you had charged all the gravel we needed we would not be able to build our train lines. Then he said you could help us but no matter what your trucks and tractors will not go down our small tunnels. There is one question is how come you are using so much gravel? When we come up to a valley we have to fill them in. I said what about a bridge? He just looked at me and said what is a bridge? I got on my phone and showed him a bridge and he said can you teach us on how to make bridges, it would be a lot easier and cost so much less. I said I know someone that builds bridges all the time and I can have his crew here and help you build some bridges and then over time you can build your own. He said when can he show up to show us? I said I will call him when I get back to set things up for you. I did not care, you can have all the gravel you want as long as I get the big yellow rocks. He said okay and I followed him back to town and we both went home. I got back and sit and told everything that happened while I was gone to the wife and she said wow I guess everything will work out maybe. Just about everything was going good until one of the guys come from the mine and said we need you at the mine as soon as you can get there. I said okay and I jumped into one of the trucks in the yard and followed him. We got to the cave and he said you will have to come with me from here on. We got out the truck and took one of the diggers. We headed down in the mine and then he stopped and said follow me. We walked a ways and come up to the big huge rock. He said we cannot go through this so we were told to come and see you. I got out of the digger and went over and grabbed the shovel and cleaned the rock off and sure enough it was one of the biggest yellow rock I have ever seen. This one must be the main one and the smaller ones was from this big one. The next thing was how to get it out of here. I said okay let me do some calling and we'll let you know tomorrow sometime when the rock can be moved. He said okay and he took me back to my truck. I got home and said to the wife they have found one more big yellow rock and I went to see it but it is bigger than this house. So we will have to figure a way to get it out of there. She knows how hard it was and it is not going to be easy to break it up and move it out of there. The next day I called the company that was buying our yellow rocks. I spoke to the guy that bought our rocks and he said you can drill it and put some explodes in but it has to be the right charge or you will blow it up into really small pieces. For the rock is soft in the middle but not on the outside. They have a cutter that looks like a big chainsaw that cuts through rock and if we can get it to cut the rock in smaller pieces so we can get it out of there. I called around and found one that I think would work. The guy showed up with it, said it would take too long on how to use this so he will help out because the company is paying him anyway. So we got everything together and headed to the mine. When we got there the guy said it is at the end of the tunnel we are working right now. We had to go around it. I said okay and it did not take really that long to cut it up and get it out of there. It only took about 2 days to get it done. The first time the guy see the big yellow rock he said is that gold? I said well it is and it is not. It is about 1/4 gold and the rest is other rock. He said okay but it is really big for a gold nugget? I said yes it is and they want it out of their way so they can dig for gravel for their train system. We took the last load and headed back to the yard when one of the guys come running up and said we have found another one. I said okay he took the load we had back to the yard and then come back. We headed to where the other rock was. It was just about the same size as the other one. We started working on it and soon the next crew came in and we went home. The next day when I went out there was a lot more rock sitting there. I waited for one of the trucks came back and after he dumped he said there should be only about 2 or 3 more. We should be done today. I said okay and went back into the house. When the next truck came in I said what about the guy that run the saw, how is he doing? He has taught one of the guys that work for us on how to run it so he could get some sleep. It was not really hard to run it but drive it to where it had to go was the real challenge. I said it sounds like real fun. It was not long when all the trucks and even the saw was back. I said to everyone go home and get some rest and come in tomorrow the normal time. They all left and I went in and got some dinner and rested myself. Not much went on the next week. The guy come and get some more yellow rock and passed us a check. There was a scale on the truck he had and he said it was close enough within $100 one way or the other. I said that is okay and he went on his way.